Managing that was tough, especially when something is going through a lot of headlines. Anything veterans affairs are very political. I work for the state government, state of Missouri. It was when I took over, it was on the newspaper. My St. Louis Veterans Home, that was a 300 bed home, was going through a lot of problems.
Mm.
Families were complaining they're killing veterans at the home. My first day was, I remember driving to St. Louis around 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock getting there to a press conference about
Wow.
the home and about this and answering the several about 40 or 50 families there, ensuring that how I'm going to improve the quality of care in that home.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, Charlie Cameron and 𝐓𝐢𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living.
Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
All right, welcome back to today's episode of the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cameron, and today we're thrilled to have Roystan Pais joining us today. Roystan, good to have you, man.
Thank you, Charlie.
If you wouldn't mind, give us a brief introduction to you and where you're at right now in your assisted living journey, and then we'll jump back to where it all started.
Yeah, sure. Past 2.5 years ago, I bought a small assisted living, independent living community in Columbia, Missouri. It's about 10 bed assisted living and 5 independent living apartments. So I've been on that for 2.5 years, and it has been an exciting journey. I learned a lot. This is my first entrepreneurial experience. Now, my plan is to expand my business here in mid Missouri. I really like the small atmosphere, having about 15-20 residents. That's the best way to provide the quality care. So, my goal is to expand the same model, either acquiring 2 or 3 facilities in mid Missouri in next 2-3 years.
Okay. That was a perfect background. I'm curious to jump into the assisted living plus independent living in one home model. But before we go there, I would love to hear more about, give us your background, because I know you came from India 17 years ago. Tell us about that transition, what you were doing at the time, and how you then made the foray into assisted living management.
Yeah, sure. I'm originally from India. I went to med school, got my medical degree, and practiced for a few years. Then I decided that I'm going to coming to the United States. During that time, I did not had very much money. I had only about $840 to come to
Wow.
the United States.
Wow.
I wanted to continue my residency training in the United States, but I realized that I cannot do a whole lot with that $840. So I decided to join a master's degree. I borrowed some money from the friends and decided to join a master's degree at Indiana University, Kelley Business School. I got my MBA. After that, my plan was to go back and get the residency training and get licensed in the United States. But during that time, a lot of things changed. I really liked the management, and I joined Brookdale Senior Living, and money was good. I did not want to go back and get the training. Joined the senior living community, managed some large communities for them, around 150-acre campus, about 750 residents. So managed that about several years. Then I got a call from one of the senator I knew from the in Missouri, and he contacted me that Missouri Veterans Commission, they own seven veterans homes in state of Missouri, going through a lot of troubles, poor quality of care. Headline in the St. Louis Dispatch newspaper about that quality of care. So that wiped out a lot of the management positions there. That time I took over as a director of homes program for all the 7 veterans homes in the state of Missouri. I was in charge of about 1,400 beds, 1,400 residents, veterans, and about 2,000 employees. So I managed that about 2.5 years until COVID hits. When COVID hits, it got to a point that I had to work 7 days a week and travel throughout the state of Missouri every single day. That was not feasible for me because my wife had a busy job. She's a consultant pharmacist for long term care or nursing homes. And I had two small kids at that time. They were little, 5, 6, something like that. So I decided to take a step back and stayed home for a few months and couple months, and then took over a struggling building in Columbia, Missouri. That's about 30 minutes from my home. It was a non-profit home, losing about 1.5 million every year for last 3 years. I decided to take that challenge. I thought that I'm not going to keep it open for too long once I started there, because after first payroll, which is about 210,000 to 220,000, we had about 18,000 in the bank account. So biweekly payroll was 210,000 to 220. But somehow I was able to manage that in 6 months, able to make a turnaround and have enough cash flow to support the payroll and everything. I able to make some contract negotiations with the vendors on that situation. And the first year we had in 2021 we had a break even, and 2021 we made about 1.3 million in EBITDA or 750,000 in net operating profit. So I was there about until 2023. But meanwhile, in 2022, I was just going to see a resident in one of the assisted living, which is Lake George. First time I came to a very small setting. Like until then, I managed 100, 200, or even 500 bed resident homes. And I really liked that model. I did not know about residential assisted living at that point. I really liked that model, having a small setting. And I talked to the owner. He was in his mid 70s. So 6 months later, I was end up buying that home in 2022 August. And then I continued the employment at the Bluffs until 2023 September or October. Finally, I decided to leave the Bluffs and became just a owner of this place. Um, the model was very different from the traditional nursing home models. Residents got better care. I was able to know everyone, and my goal is at this point is just to continue that model, buy or have the facilities under 30, 35 beds. That's my model. I want to progress that in mid Missouri. And then I learned more about the residential assisted living throughout my journey after that.
Wow. Okay, that was a lot to unpack. Thank you for that journey. It sounds like you have just the perfect skill set, having gone through medical school and then gotten into management of these bigger skilled nursing facilities, and then was able to transition that into owning an assisted living home, a true smaller 10 assisted living plus 5 independent living home. Sounds like you have the perfect combination for that. I want to just ask a couple questions about managing those bigger facilities. How tough was that, trying to manage 1,400 residents and 2,000 employees? How did you even manage that on a daily basis?
Managing that was tough, especially when something is going through a lot of headlines. Anything veterans affairs are very political. I work for the state government, state of Missouri. It was when I took over, it was on the newspaper. My St. Louis Veterans Home, that was a 300 bed home, was going through a lot of problems.
Mm.
Families were complaining they're killing veterans at the home. My first day was, I remember driving to St. Louis around 8 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock getting there to a press conference about
Wow.
the home and about this and answering the several about 40 or 50 families there, ensuring that I'm not going to do how I'm going to improve the quality of care in that home. And I had no idea about that 10 o'clock press conference.
Wow.
So when there, I got some tough questions, explained that what my plan is for that home, but able to do take the negative press out of that home within 3 or 4 months, establish some of the quality metrics for the home, working on 4 top priorities, reducing the pressure ulcers, reducing the and then few other things I can't exactly remember now, and made a dashboard for the homes program, and a lot of leadership changes. I had to fire a lot of people on my first week or
Wow.
first 2 weeks. Was able to do that. Uh, put some quality leaders in the homes program. Yeah, we were able to make some strides in 6 months to a year.
Wow. Okay. Let's just one question about the bluffs where you turned it around from losing $1 million a year to making $1 million a year, or losing more than $1 million to making. What was the biggest change there that you made to turn it from a negative business to a positive business?
Yeah, I took that job in 2020 December, middle of the COVID pandemic. COVID started in somewhere February or March, but I took that. One thing I realized that Blups was a 100-bed home. They were, because of the pandemic, they were closed down the most of the home. The census was in 60s. If I remember, they closed down the rehab unit. And COVID was throughout the home once, like everyone probably got the COVID. So during that time, yeah, came there, had no idea what to do with that. Just a confidence because I managed this big homes, right? Had some confidence, but no idea. When I came there, I realized that situation is worse than it looks like. When you have $18,000 and payroll is $210,000 and you have to make another payroll in 2 weeks, I realized that's it. There is no way I can do this. We are pretty much going to be closed down within 2 weeks. Contacted all the banks. No one was wanted to extend the money there or any loan or credit line. Contacted the SBA EIDL. That process was cumbersome, but went ahead and applied. And I told the board, 7-member board, we are probably going to close down. There's no way we can get it back. Next thing, I was contacted for 3 or 4 major vendors, a food service vendor. They were outsourcing the kitchen, a pharmacy company, therapy company. Then there is one more. Contacted all the owners and just told them one by one, here is our financial situation. I'm going to tell you, we already owe you a couple $100,000. I'm not going to pay you for another 6 months. There is just no way I can do that. And these are the big bills, like a 60, 70,000 a month. It was $1 million revenue home, but not at that time when I took over, maybe 600,000 or something. So I had these meetings. Either you agree with me or probably I'm not going to get paid anyways, whatever you owe. Surprisingly, almost everyone agreed except the food service vendor, which I immediately terminated contract and started the in-house dining, which was tough, but did that. And we won them 300,000 and they filed a lawsuit against us. But anyway, that gave me a little bit cushion, not paying all these vendors for next 6 months, cushion, have cash flow. Then food service vendor put a lawsuit, which I did not had any other options. I said that was okay. So we fought that lawsuit. Meanwhile, census was down. And one thing I realized that all residents had a COVID outbreak. If it is a similar virus to a flu virus, they're not going to have another outbreak at least for 6 to 12 months. And I started immediately admitting residents, taking the residents, and hospitals really were on board because they did not have the beds to take the patients. And census started growing up within 3 months. My census went to 95, 97% occupancy, which started bringing in money.
Yeah.
Then after 6 months, started paying these vendors. And finally, after 18 months later, I settled that $330,000 lawsuit for $150,000.
Wow.
And it's all worked out. But I never thought it will. But somehow, I don't think I will ever take such a position again unless I have a upside potential or something. It was tough, yeah. But I enjoyed the process, had some fun, and glad I was able to make that work.
Yeah. So now your full-time gig is owning the 10 plus 5, the 10-bed assisted living with 5 independent living. That's your full-time gig now, right?
Yeah, since 2023, I bought it in 2022, and 2023, September or October, that's the only gig I have.
Okay. And let me ask a more personal question. How does that compare in income for you compared to the government job and the turning around the other facility?
I did lose some income when I left the Bluffs. I was getting paid well. I did lose some income. As I said, my wife is a consultant pharmacist. That is definitely helping. I'm definitely not getting that previous income. But my goal is I got a lot of free time now. So I can look at the other deals and work on acquiring the facilities. Right now, Missouri is a certificate of need state. So I got a 10-bed CON last year to expand my current facility. I will make the 10-bed assisted living to a 10-room or 20-unit assisted living. That's my goal. I am in the process of getting the bank loan. Hopefully, it will approve in next couple weeks, and I start the building process, which probably takes 6 to 9 months. That should improve the income for significantly. And meanwhile, I've been looking at several deals. And if something good deal comes up, I'll probably get into that. That should even out.
That's awesome. Okay. So not quite the same income, but enough and a lot more freedom of time.
Yes, that
That's
is
what I hear.
correct. Yeah. It is significantly less income, but lot freedom of time to work on the deals and to expand the facility to work on the things really what I want. Yeah.
That's awesome. So how does it work with the 10 assisted living plus 5 independent living? Are they just 5 apartments attached on, or how does that work?
Hey there, sorry to interrupt this episode, but I've got a question for you. Do you want to share in the wealth and incredible returns from the highest demand asset class in real estate without the hassle of doing it all yourself, or at least not yet? Residential assisted living is booming and it's only gaining momentum. That's why we created an investment fund at Open Range Capital, so you can benefit without the heavy lifting. With the silver tsunami upon us, demand for assisted living is far outpacing supply, making this the can't miss opportunity for the next few decades. We provide access to fully vetted investment opportunities that are primed for success and ready to deliver strong passive returns. Don't wait, ride the wave with us. Visit theralroom.com/invest to partner with us on future investment opportunities. Again, that's theralroom.com/invest. We look forward to connecting with you. Now back to the episode.
So I have about 5,000 square foot townhouse model building. So it has 5 apartments. One of them is 2 bedroom. 4 of them are 1 bedroom. And then I have a separate assisted living facility, which I want to expand to 10 bed to 20 bed. One thing throughout my journey, I manage large facilities. One thing I realized that with the 10 to 15 units or under 20 units, it is hard to get the efficiency. When you have about 25 units, that's where you feel get the ideal efficiency and ideal quality. Quality stays same, but your efficiency significantly improves at 25 units. Anything more than 36 or mainly anything more than 40 is too much. I would try to stop somewhere 35. That's where my mark is. 25 to 20 to 35 is very sweet spot with the ideal efficiency and having that small home feel and quality.
Yeah. So, okay. So 20 to 35 in a single home,
Single
the
home, yeah.
efficiency point. Okay. Okay. And is the biggest efficiency labor?
Yes, labor, overhead cost, the
Mhm.
manager's salary improves a little bit, but it's not that you have to hire another manager to manage that. And you also have peace of mind. Labor stays same. You might have a little bit more cost on the building or mortgage, but I think that's where really it makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So, when starting this home or purchasing this home, what was the most surprising challenge you faced and how did you overcome it?
I did not have a lot of money sitting with me, so that was the most challenging thing to acquire something. And I had no experience how to work with the banks or to get that. And I did not have very rich relatives either. I was definitely not Dave Ramsey's cousin. Figure out a lot of creative ways to make that work. I did have some money because I had decent jobs. I had to make out work on few things to get that financing. I'm the 100% solo owner. I do not have any other investors with me or anything in this property. I think is one of the tough challenges.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. And that's one of our kind of more standard questions is, can you go into a little bit more detail on how you were able to put that together without a lot of cash in hand, finance it, fund it yourself without bringing on any investors?
Yeah, sure. I did have some money, about 10-15% of the deal. I went to several banks. One thing I heard is that no, you need about 20 to 25% cash to make that deal. And I was about to give up. I probably went to about 10 banks after hearing that no, I was about to give up. Then I got a call from one of the bankers, surprisingly, and honestly, this was the bank referred by one of the person I took care of that in one of my bigger facilities. And he used to be a banker, and then he
Hmm.
went to the assisted living. We bonded very well, and he recommended this bank to me. He was in very senior position, like a vice president of this bank called Hawthorne Bank. He recommended me, and I went to that bank. And I thought they're not going to finance me anyways. It's a big bank. But one day I got a call from the banker saying that we can make it work. So rest is the history. I was
Awesome.
able to put down some money, and they gave me a traditional loan without any SBA or anything like that. So that's very rare. So
Yeah.
I was able to make it work.
Yeah, it speaks to the relationships. Relationships are so important in any sort of
Yeah.
business industry, but banks especially, a lot of people think of banks as the enemy and I just want to get the best rate and I'm going to shop all the banks when really they should be thinking, hey, this is just another member of my team. I have to be on the same page with this financer, right? And so you got to
Yeah.
figure out how to work with a bank. And that was when I first got started in real estate investing years and years and years ago. I did the same thing. I went to a local bank. They financed me for 8-unit apartments. And because we built that relationship and because I was able to grow with them, then they financed the next 16 with me, right? They're like, okay, we'll do another deal with you. And I think it's people overlook the whole building relationship with a bank thing. And I think it's super key,
Yeah, you are
whether it's SBA or
absolutely.
not. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think if you are an entrepreneur, if you want to develop your business or build your business, bankers, attorneys, and CPAs are your best friends. Maintain
Mm.
a good relationship with bankers. And if they have another business that's going through a tough time, they will call you. You're the first person that are going to call you when you build that relationship. I know now several bankers, they gave me some really great ideas. Same thing with the attorneys and the CPAs too. They will help you a lot. It is building those relationships. Those are the key people if you want to, if for any future aspiring business people.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so we talked about your first home. One of the biggest challenges, as more than probably most homeowners, is staying fully occupied and keeping that census high. What would you say has been your biggest key to success when it comes to finding residents for your home?
See, most of my homes, like most of the places I managed, I was very successful in keeping the occupancy high. Most of the places I managed, from a struggling occupancy to a full, like example is Blubs, from about 60% occupancy I bought it to 95% or 97% with a waiting list. So I was very good at building those relationships and getting the occupancy high. And I never entered this industry or even bought my home thinking that for the cash flow reason. I just wanted to do it, providing a best quality care and best experience to the residents. The first year was a little bit tough, which I think it's my fault. I should have left my job at the Bluffs quicker and should have managed this home. So during that time, it was hard for me to get a good operator. My occupancy slide. But in 2023, when I took over, not as a manager, but as a full time at the home. I was able to call people, build the relationship. Immediately, occupancy went 100%. Since 2023, we are maintaining close to 100% occupancy. Also, our quality of care is a lot better than the other homes. I know all the residents by name, what is going on, their families, what is the challenges, what's going on with the residents medications, that everything I know. So it's building the trust among the families. I really don't lose a resident to another home. Either they pass away or something happens. Maybe I had one or two people run out of money and I had to go to the nursing home, but not necessarily lost a resident. I do have a waiting list. A lot of times it is not very helpful because you don't have the rooms. That's why I'm adding 10 rooms, right? Yeah, I have maintained a very long stretch, last 8, 9 months, 100% occupancy. I do have one independent living room just opened up this month, first of the March, which is this weekend. Hopefully, I can fill that fast. Yeah, occupancy has not been a super challenge for me. Uh,
How
you
do
know,
you fill your independent living units? Do you advertise them like you would any other rental? Like, how does that work? And do you furnish them?
no, I do not furnish them. I do not advertise as a rent. I advertise as a senior living. You can come here and live. We provide all the meals, all
Mm,
3 meals, housekeeping, all the services, and we charge a premium for that. But we provide. It's not like you cook. We provide the meals. You don't need to cook or anything. We provide a medical transportation if we need that. It's a peace of mind for somebody who is not ready for the assisted living, but they want that company, they want to look for that. And later in the life they need a assisted living, and we have that assisted living right there, and they're already familiar with the staff. That's a plus for them.
okay. No, that's good to know. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so if you were to give someone who's just getting into residential assisted living, let's say they want to open their first home or buy their first home, what advice would you give them? Do you have any big lessons?
Do it for a right reason. Cash
Hmm.
flow is important. We all want to make a living. We all have families, but don't think just cash flow. When I started, that was the least thing in my mind. Actually, I had a job, right? I wasn't even thinking. Even if it is break even, I was good until I did not had the job. But think about providing the quality of care. Why are you getting into this industry? What do you want to achieve? How you want to be different than the traditional big box nursing home or assisted living? What are you going to bring to the table? How are you going to provide the fish to the peace in mind to the families, and how are you going to provide the care? So look at those things. If you do it right reason, I think it is a good industry to get into.
I love that. You have to have the compassion piece to it, right?
Exactly.
Any mistakes new assisted living home operators make? Any big mistakes that pop into your mind?
The big mistake you make is, one, I see this lot of videos of the different people giving the advice. It's a passive investment, passive business. I don't think that is true. I don't know there is any passive business, but definitely this is not a passive business, and it is a lot of cash flow without putting any work.
Yeah.
It's not for me. That did not happen for me, but I have not tried in that way.
No.
But I don't know that is true or not. But if you are entering for the wrong reasons, thinking all that is true, I did not see it, but somebody else has seen it. I'm not going to say no because I don't have the experience, but there is a lot of hands-on. If family members don't trust you, why would they bring their loved ones there?
Hmm.
There's a reason I'm maintaining 100% occupancy. They do trust me, and I'm not getting every single family member has my cell phone number. They don't call me. Every single staff member has my cell phone number. They don't call me that often, but they have that peace of mind.
Hmm.
And I have done everything in the home, because you cannot expect your staff to do something you're not willing to do, which doesn't mean that I do every day. I went like last December, I went 3 weeks of vacation. I took my mom to India. She went with her. I never got any phone calls. Even I was worried that, and I was calling
Yeah.
them. It is possible, but I would not just go thinking that it is a passive investment.
No, far from it. You can have passive if you don't want a lot of return, right? Or
I
you can
think
have
so. If
very
you,
active, and
yeah,
I'm just talking in
yeah,
general across all
yeah,
investment types, right? Yes, you can have some passive investments, but the returns are going to be lower. It really just requires a lot more involvement. And as far as an active business, people's lives are at stake. This is about as active as it gets. And what we've seen from people who've gotten into this and then have scaled over time is that there's a difficulty curve, right? It's like you're going up the mountain, you get one home, you're going up the mountain, you get a second home, and it's a lot of work. And then you get over this hump where, okay, now you have enough income where you can start hiring more and more folks to take some of those tasks off your plate. And then you start to go down the mountain and it's all downhill from there. Once
yeah,
we see operators who have about 80, 90 employees, they're no longer really involved in the day-to-day. Yes, they're still involved in their homes. They're still overseeing everything. They still have their hands in everything, but they're not sucked into it, if you will. So I think
yeah.
that there's a mountain everyone needs to climb. When they get to the summit, though, it's all downhill from there. And you can really start to grow, but not grow in your time commitment, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, which is true. Then you are facing a different challenges and you have to work on the different problems. And I
Yeah.
still don't know that's like a truly passive because I was
No.
managing 7 homes with 1,400 people. I don't know I was really passive on that either. So the challenges change when you get to a point, I think. But again, if you put all the 100% financing from the cash in your hand, you may be able to do it with the complete passive and still get some returns. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Royston, before we go, I got just one or two more questions for you.
Yeah.
With the silver tsunami upon us, how do you see the industry or model evolving over the next 5 to 10 years?
There is few things are going on right now. One is that in the current economic situation, construction costs are very high and the interest rates are very high. So I think there is not a whole lot new developments are going on. But at the same time, the baby boomer population from 45 to 65 is increasing and more people are coming to the assisted living environment. So I do think that demand will significantly increase from 2030 to 2050, 55. People are living longer. I think there will be a demand. And today's world, building a new facility and financing it and then cash flowing it is hard with the I don't think you can build anything under $250 a square foot anymore with the interest rate 7-8%. That's the challenge we are seeing. That's the positive for the industry. The negative is that the competition from the home health is very significant. We do see a lot of home health agencies, and people are trying to stay home and not having enough finances or the funds to do the assisted living. Those are the headwinds in the industry. Balancing it and looking at the ideal opportunity is crucial.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's crazy to look at what's out there, especially if you download like the NAICS reports on assisted living and you look through the data and what it's projecting for the industry. There's not enough caretakers, either for skilled
That's
nursing,
the
there's not for assisted living homes, there's not for in-home care. And that's right now. And there's not going to be enough beds for all of the boomers that are aging into assisted living in the next 10 years. So at-home care, if that's even an option, is going to become required. And there's not going to be enough in-home care providers. So a lot of families are going to, whether that's their norm or not, they're going to have to take care of mom and dad. They don't even realize it's coming because there won't be enough beds. There won't be enough in-home care. It's going to be quite the ride over the next 2 decades.
Yeah. Yeah, I do see that challenges. Caregivers is a after financing, caregivers is another huge challenge in the industry, having the enough caregivers. I hear the horror stories about the nursing homes. That's pretty sad. There are challenges with the caregivers and not having enough people to provide that care. Fortunately, I got lucky. I did not have that problem. I always had enough caregivers and good caregivers, but that's also coming from my industry connections and experience, and I pay caregivers more better than the most of the competitors just because I don't want that headache. I want the best possible caregivers because I really see the residents as if they're my own grandpa, grandma, how I would provide that care. So that's why I try to have the top of the line caregivers. I have almost zero turnover. I haven't even hired anyone in the last 6 months, which is a good problem to
That's
have.
awesome.
So
Yeah, that is great. You know a lot about hiring folks. Do you have any tips for people when hiring caregivers? What to do or what to avoid?
best hires comes from your knowledge, your knowledge about them, like past, like them, or that is the best one. If you already know them, they have done a phenomenal job. Past behavior actually reflects the future behavior, right? I think that is the best way to hire caregivers. Definitely do reference check. Don't hire anyone comes to the door. That's a bad thing to do. Make sure their past history, some recommendations, and if they're your good caregivers can recommend somebody, then that's a good thing. So look at all those things and how they interact in the interview, how they interact with the residents. That's the other thing to look at it. Once you hire them, treat them well, pay them well, make their job easy. Everyone has difficulty in the home. Lot of these caregivers don't make much money. A lot of times they're single parents. Make their job as easy as possible. Have compassion. Do a good job for you.
I love that. Yeah, take care of your people and they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like your next steps are to expand the current home, add 10 beds there, as well as look at acquiring more. Would love to have you back on the podcast maybe in a year, and we can see just how much you've grown in that time. That'll be wild to see. Roystan, how can folks get a hold of you in the meantime?
I will give my email. That is paisroystan@gmail.com. Like my name spelled there, Pais, Roystan, no space or anything, @gmail.com. That is the best way to get hold of me.
Perfect. Roystan, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your insights today, and looking forward to having you on pretty soon in the future.
Thank you, Charlie, and thanks for your service.
Appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to the Rail Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a raving 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is theralroom.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living home, or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry, join us in the Rail Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey. Be sure to join us next time on the Rail Room Podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.